Welcome to the Life Success and Legacy Podcast. We're glad you're here, and we hope you enjoy the episode.
Hey everybody, we want to welcome you back to the next episode of the Life Success Legacy Podcast. I'm Chris Bay and joined by some of our team members here. We've got, 3 Mikes and a Haley today. That's a good mix.
Haley's
Haley,
she's throwing the mic situation out.
Mm-hmm.
you know, she looks sweet and she's kind of quiet, but we all know a different side of Haley. Like, she's not afraid to pull some punches. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, she can stand her own with this crew. That is for sure. Haley, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. So today, what we want to do is one of our dear friends and teammates, Shelley Forbis, has been out for a little bit, and that doesn't happen very often. But she and her husband Todd took a trip to Alaska, actually, to visit, I believe, Todd's mom.
That's correct.
And so we've been working hard. As our clients know, Shelley is an integral part of everything that happens at LSL.
Mm-hmm.
She likes to say she's not a coach. She likes to say she's the behind the scenes, but she is the engine that keeps everything going. I don't know if engine is even the right term, but
she's the oil in the engine.
Yeah. If you don't have any oil, what happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So today, what we thought we would do, and she actually has a birthday coming up. What we thought we would do is do a little roast, as we like to do. We did one of these on Mike Kwong not too long ago. And the intention of this is truly for you, the listeners, to get to know team members at LSL from kind of behind the scenes. Like, what are they really like? You know, what are the stories? How did they come to be a part of the team? All that kind of stuff. So, yeah, let's jump into this. This will be fun talking about Shelley Forbis. Haley, I want to start with you because I think your relationship with Shelley goes back the furthest of all of us. How did you and Shelley first get to know each other?
I met Shelley at a previous employer, and her and I connected, and that was back in 2012, I believe is what it was. And after I left that employer, we continued to be friends, and that's how I got introduced to these yahoos, is through Shelley. She was like, "You'll never believe what I am doing." And I'm like, "You're probably right. So please tell me." And then that's how I got introduced.
Yeah. And then I got to know you, if I'm not mistaken, through Shelley, through an organization that we were all been a part of. And that's how I first got to know you. And then eventually you became a client of LSL.
Yep.
And then, so Shelley, I first met Shelley and her husband Todd at a mutual friend, Sweet Tea's coffee shop. And there was just a bunch of people hanging out there, and I met them, and we just started having conversations, and eventually they became clients. And I remember we were doing the dream conversation, and I remember asking Shelley, "So what's the work that you're doing now?" And she was describing it, and I said, "So do you enjoy it? Do you love it?" And she's like, "No, I don't." And my response, she tells this story even today. She's like, "Your response, you were so excited that I didn't like my job." Because to me, it's a personal thing. Like, I believe people should actually enjoy the work that they're doing, that they should get to use their strengths and their talents and things. And so when I hear someone say, "No, I don't like doing it," and they're so capable, that I'm like, well, let's get you doing something that you do enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, you know, and then looking at their financial information, she had worked at this company for a while, had a 401k, we had some wind current we could turn. So there was also the IBC part of this that was going on in my head. And so one of the turning points in this relationship is I had written a job description for a client coordinator and shared it with Mike Everett. And Mike, we sat on that job description for at least 2 years.
At least.
Because with my background as a public school principal, the worst thing you can do is hire the wrong person. And so I always had that ingrained in me as like, you better make sure that you're right on making this decision, right? Because of that background, I had some scar tissue, some PTSD, right, from that experience. Like, man, if you make a mistake in hiring, you're living with it.
Yep.
And I remember starting to talk to Everett about Shelley and thinking, man, this is somebody that I think actually is a really good fit for this position. And, you know, we've gone through a bunch of things, the DISC and a bunch of personality tests and working tests and all that. And then I was at my chiropractor, and Shelley and Todd happened to go to that same chiropractor. And so we're chatting it up, and they're clients at that time. And Shelley excuses herself to go to the restroom. And Todd says, dude, and Todd, Mike, well, I'll finish the story and then I want you to describe Todd, Everett. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So Shelley excuses herself to go to the restroom, and Todd goes, dude, you need to hire my wife. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty abrupt. But I was thinking the same thing, right? So Mike, how would you describe Todd Forbis?
Well, I would say if I looked in the mirror, I could probably see Todd's face. He and I probably are a little more alike than we would like to admit. We've actually discussed this a little bit, and Shelley has indicated that we are a lot alike, that we say stuff and we think about what we've said after we've said it. He is just the guy that he doesn't know a stranger, and he's not afraid to put it out there so people will start to ponder and think about it. And I love that about him.
But that is a really important element, actually, because at one point you had to have somebody who could work with my personality and also work with Mike Everett, which we are so polar opposite in so many different areas. But Shelley and I are similar in many ways, and Todd and Mike Everett are similar in many ways, and Shelley adores her husband, obviously, but adores Mike Everett. And so she was like this perfect person to bridge the gap between the two of us and be able to function with both of us.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's give people, our listeners, a little sense of who Shelley Forbis is, what we know about her, what we appreciate about her. I'll just open it up. You guys chime in.
Well, I'll tell you, the first time I even really met Shelley was at a boot camp. Before I think they were clients, they came to a boot camp, and you know, she was quiet but like observant, and Todd was, you know, asking questions or calling us out for being stupid or something, you know, and all in joke, of course, but, you know, just like big personality. And she was sitting over there just crunching everything in her brain, trying to process after being fed with a fire hose, as you know, as our boot camps typically do. And, you know, I knew that there was some conversation going on in the background. And I remember I was doing something one afternoon, and Chris calls me and he goes, hey, we offered Shelley this position. And I was like, well, good, because I didn't want to do it, you know, like, because I just don't have that temperament, you know, and that personality strength to be everything to everyone. And she definitely has done that. And, you know, one of the things that over the course of time, that was 2016 that I remember that phone call. Correct me if I'm wrong, babe, but that was what I remember. And here we are in 2024, and so much has changed about LSL, and so much of it for the better because of Shelley, because of the things that she's put in place or the things that she thinks through. You know, before the podcast recording started, we joked about like she has checklists for her checklists. And I joke about those all the time because I barely have a checklist at all, let alone one to check my checklist, you know? And so, you know, she is the perfect blend of those personalities, as Bay said, to work with all sorts of clients. And we have all sorts, you know, I mean, that anybody could say that, you know, but I think she does such a good job of bridging the gap between coach and company that we represent or whatever it is, and figuring out a solution and working with the team to make things happen.
I remember that first boot camp that they were at. And I remember she was filling up a yellow pad.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen anybody write so fast in my life. And I thought, oh my gosh. And I'm going, there's going to be a point in time when we're going to have a Q&A, and I'm almost afraid all of the different questions that she might have on that thing. But um, in reference to Shelley, those questions, the thought that goes into what she's going to record and think through and ask has been so incredibly beneficial for life success and legacy, because she's thinking about things 2 and 3 levels beyond what the actual question or the actual thought is.
Right.
And it just makes what we have become, you had said that, because we, you know, the layers that have happened since 2016, 2017,
Yeah.
just beyond my imagination.
Mm.
And not only the fact that Chris, but yet Shelley adding to that thought process and
Right.
how we do things, which has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would add, you know, whenever I think of Shelley, you know, and this may sound funny, but I just think of fresh baked cookies, you know.
That's
And she
that's
adds
it.
the perfect element of just, I don't know. I mean, we're all characters, right? In our own way. We have our own strengths and weaknesses. And you mentioned bridging that gap and everything, but she adds a nice, like, it's a warm blanket, you know, to the client, especially, you know, that I feel that I could never provide. You know, I mean, I do a lot of cool things, you know, I explain numbers well, but you know, this is a people process, you know, kind of business too, right?
Mhm.
Relationships. And oftentimes when you talk about money, to me, they're just numbers, right? But for some people, there's a lot of feeling involved in fear or, you know, excitement, which is good. But I've always found her just like preternatural ability to like calm people, you know, even myself. When I get into bind, I need some answers, you know, I'll go to her and bring me back down, you know, get the answers, you know, we're looking for. And I know she's done that for so many of our clients in ways, you know, that it just is really, and I hear it, you know, from them, you know,
Oh,
about
yeah.
how it takes care of them and takes personal interest. And, you know, and sometimes there's problems or, you know, even communicating with the companies and things. And she's the first to just jump in there. As sweet as she is, she can be a dog, you know, for the client.
Can't she? Like there are times she is the sweetest person. Like she
You know
is,
what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
she when it comes, if you want to get her fired up, it is when she feels like the client is not getting what they need.
Yeah.
And she
Oh,
is one of
man.
the strongest cheerleaders and advocates for our clients. I always joke, she has this gene in her that if there is a missing piece, if the next domino hasn't fallen for a client, if there's an email out there that didn't get responded to, or a policy loan that got, you know, misapplied at the company or whatever, like she can't go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
She has to make sure that those things get addressed. It's just
Yeah.
a gene in her. That's how she's wired.
It's the mama bear, you know. I just call in the mama bear and she's gonna handle it, you know.
Let's see, fresh baked cookies, Mama Bear.
For sure. So one of the things that I'm thinking back on this, on how Shelley and I and our friendship really developed before she and Todd moved back to Todd's family farm in Northwest Missouri. Todd and Shelley lived in Tonganoxie, which was, you know, just 20 minutes away from where I
Yeah.
live in Lawrence. And so she would drive in. This was back before the pandemic, and we were doing a lot of our appointments were face to face, and I had an office in my home, and she would basically move into my house for the day.
Mhm.
And, you know, we're sharing restrooms. She and Sean are chatting it up. She's taking Rosie out, you know, to go to the rest, our dog, Rosie, like grabbing lunch. It's like we're just living communally, you know, in our home, right, cohabitating. And I think it was during that process where we just really developed such a close relationship
Mhm.
and had such a common mindset about how we wanted to serve clients.
Mhm.
And so I think back on that relationship, that's something that, like with Mike Kwong, we've never really got that because, you know, Mike's down in Houston, and it's not like we're, you know, cohabitating, or, you know, we do this a lot on Zoom, but we're not really
We could
living
in that new
together.
house, though.
Yeah,
Oh,
come
we could
on.
all move in that new house, possibly. Yeah. So yeah, she's kind of like the mom of LSL.
Mhm.
And for our listeners, who is Shelley on a personal level? Um, I will tell you, as much as she cares about our clients, um, she is a grandma number one.
Mhm.
Capri is her granddaughter, and they spend as much time with Capri as they possibly
Mhm.
can. And Todd's a fantastic grandfather as well.
Mhm.
But if you want to know what Shelley is about, it is about her family and about her granddaughter Capri. And then secondly is our clients. And then thirdly, I think, is the rest of us.
Yeah.
I think she cares about our clients more than she cares about us.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Shelley is a detailed person.
Mm.
We talk a lot about like working geniuses and what are the skill sets and things that people bring. She has discernment and tenacity. And I have leaned on her a lot over the years where I come up with ideas and thoughts and things like that. And even before I knew about working genius and all that, I would lean into Shelley and say, hey, here's something I'm thinking about. And Mike Everett actually has discernment as well. So both of them are great sounding boards for me that I can bounce ideas off. But Shelley is that discerning person.
Mhm.
She, as Mike Kwong talked about, she can read people. She
Mhm.
can see behind the layers. She can see that fear. And what we deal with is money. And a lot of people have fear and anxiety around money. And Shelley is really skilled at moving that beside and getting to the human element of that.
Mhm.
She's really gifted and talented. And actually, as we think about our roles and how we can better serve our clients, that's one of the things we want to do is have her more and more upfront with clients and developing that relationship with them and following through with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So then,
touched on
go ahead.
tenacity. Her tenacity shows up in my streak box.
Oh my gosh.
She
What do you mean by that, Mike Everett?
huh?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, Shelley, you all know this on our Monday meetings. We get done with doing strategies, and then she goes, Mike Everett, I need to talk to you
Every week.
every week. Details are not one of my strong suits. I'm not telling you guys that. I'm telling our listeners that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to tell you, details are Shelley's strength.
Yes.
And if she's got questions, she's probably going to be fairly direct with me,
Mhm.
which I actually appreciate because Linda is very direct with me.
Right.
You guys are kind of direct with me in a weird way. But yeah, I appreciate kinda her detail oriented stuff because I tell you, while she was gone, she must have set up, I'm going to say 6 or 8 street detail things that I needed to take care of, and I got most of them done. And then she came back early, and I go, wow, this is awesome because I can, well, I'll stop there.
You know, one of the things that's been fun for me with Shelley, and she very much wants to be in that second chair. She doesn't want to be the one up front. Like when we
Yeah.
do boot camp, she doesn't want to be up front. She wants to be behind the scenes, taking care of people and all
Yeah.
that. But Shelley and I have done, I can't even tell you how many coaching sessions we've done together over the years, but we have done a lot of coaching sessions. And what's been so fun for me to observe is watching her pass me in certain skills in coaching. She is better, and we know the dance because there are certain questions that a client will ask, and I know Shelley's actually the person who needs to answer this because she's going to do it better than I will. And again, she doesn't want to say she's a coach, but she is a fantastic IBC
Oh
coach.
man, the
Yeah.
best.
In fact, when my daughter Lily, when we signed over ownership of her policy, did she want dad to be her coach? Nope, she wanted Shelley. So,
Yep.
all right. Any other comments or observations about our dear friend and valued team member Shelley Forbis?
She's the best.
She is the
Awesome.
best.
She is.
Super Shelley, we call it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So to our listeners, we hope we've given you a little bit of a snapshot of who Shelley is. You guys already probably know that with your dealings with her. I know oftentimes, like this last week when she was out of town and someone would email me, you can like feel the hesitancy in their email, like, Chris, can you handle this? Because Shelley's gone. We're used to dealing with Shelley, and she
Right.
takes such good care of us.
Right.
So yeah, so Shelley, we absolutely adore you. We value you. You are beyond what you know, such an integral part of what LSL is, what it has become, and what it will be in the future. And on behalf of our clients that you take such amazing care of, thank you and we love you.
Amen.
And happy birthday.
Happy
coming up.
birthday.
To our listeners, thanks for joining us again. Check us out at lifesuccesslegacy.com and check out our learning events. We have regular webinars. Mike Everett typically does those, the IBC webinars. Those are I would say 60 to 80 minute intro to infinite banking. Highlights a lot of the key pieces or points in Nelson Nash's book, Becoming Your Own Banker. And then we also have, usually about every 6 weeks or so, we do a boot camp, which is a deep, deep dive. It's about 3 hours long. We spend about the first half of that time teaching and giving specific examples of what IBC can look like. We do it with drawings, we do it with illustrations, we do it with numbers, we do it with software. And then the second half of the boot camp is simply Q&A. It is questions from people who are participating. And what I would tell you is we have clients that continue to join us for our boot camps because it's so easy to get off track in our thinking. As Nelson told us, we need to rethink our thinking. And sometimes we get on those ruts and we get off track. So attending boot camps on a regular basis can help us stay where our thinking is right.
Yep.
We also, for our clients, if you have not joined our Discord, we have a community platform for just our clients. And that is a place to ask questions, pose ideas, support each other, share celebrations. And if you are a client, please reach out to us. Mike Crawford, how is the best way for clients, if they're not a part of our Discord, to reach out and be a part of that?
They can just submit a contact form or just email me at mike.crawford@lifesuccesslegacy.com.
Beautiful.
Sweet and simple. To our listeners, thanks again for joining us, and we'll catch you next time on the Life Success Legacy Podcast.